Good afternoon, and here we are back again. I'm telling you, this whole conference is blowing me off the wall. People are commenting and finding resources and new ideas, and it's just absolutely fabulous. And now I get to present two of my best friends, Maureen Rulison and Brian LeBlanc. And they are co-founders of We Are Dementia Strong. And Maureen is Brian's care partner who is living with Alzheimer's and vascular dementia. But the most important thing I think about them is they're comedians. So, so here you go, guys. Take it away.
Hi, Linda, and thank you so much. And you know, the quickest way to make a comedian not be able to say one thing that's funny is to tell everybody that they're comedians. So
yeah. Thanks a lot for that. Appreciate you.
Well, you know, just before this, we had a thing about adaptive clothing. And I said, in the future, if I need any help with my clothing, I just want them to send over like a 50-year-old guy with blonde hair and blue eyes.
Yeah.
Well, you know, part of my retirement strategy is on Saturday nights, I'm going to do my hair, get a nice outfit, put on makeup, and then push my help me button. So the EMTs and the firemen will come over. I'll just lay on the floor.
And of course, I'll be outside waving them in and said, she's in there. Have fun.
So tell our listeners a little bit about you.
I'm going to let Brian start.
Well, thank you for having us here today. Again, my name is Brian LeBlanc, and I was diagnosed back in October of 2014 with Alzheimer's disease. And then in 2019, I was diagnosed with vascular dementia after I had my triple bypass. And I also have type 2 diabetes. And the reason I have type 2 diabetes is because, number one, I grew up in New Orleans and ate whatever I could. And secondly, I just wanted to add a little bit more to my resume. So
he's an overachiever.
Yes.
Your turn.
So I'm Maureen.
And I would like to introduce Maureen.
I'm Maureen Rulison, and I'm Brian's life and care partner. And I'm also the president of Caregiver Support and Resources. And the reason I mention that right now is because professionally, long before I became Brian's care partner, I was working with persons living with dementia as well as other aging related stuff. And then once Brian and I got together, we co-founded We Are Dementia Strong, a 501c3. And I would say to you that prior to becoming a care partner with Brian, alive and in person, 24-hour a day, 7-day a week, no holidays off, no overtime, nothing. I thought I knew what it was like to be a care partner. I was wrong. And although I would say that I never gave anyone bad or wrong advice, I gave them advice that I'm pretty sure they laughed at me once I left. It was all very sound advice, and it was extremely well intended, but anyone who is a care partner, and I know that I'm preaching to the choir here, anyone that is a care partner knows that, you know, just like raising a child, this doesn't go by a book. And my friend Linda Burhans taught me the most important thing about care partnering. Brian, do you remember what that is?
I do remember, but I'm going to let you go ahead and say it.
Remember, always remember to say, I'm sorry, and to practice forgiveness. And that's, I'm saying sorry to the person you're caring and supporting, and to yourself. And that forgiveness, we can't control if somebody else forgives us, but we can control if we forgive ourselves. And, you know, I can't think of another job that you do 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and never ever make a mistake. So
I just want to add to that, though. I don't want them to think that you always apologize to me. I also do my fair share of apologies to Maureen. I am not the person that you're seeing right here, laughing, smiling, being able to talk in full sentences. On my bad days or on my foggy days, I do and say things that probably are not politically correct. I'll just put it that way. And Maureen, and what I don't realize in the moment is that I'm saying sometimes some hurtful things to Maureen, which I don't know, I don't remember what I've said. But what she does and what she allows me to do, I can ask her, what did I say? Because I want to know when I apologize, what I'm apologizing for. So we do a lot of apologizing between the two of us. And but the thing that we love to do mostly is to laugh. And we do that more than anything. That goes, we make fun of each other, we help each other and try to do projects. And she doesn't like when I do projects on my own, because I think that I can do everything and anything for about 15 minutes. And then the shouting starts, and that's at myself. And then I get really angry and I start yelling at the atmosphere because nobody's there. And so, it's one of those things that laughter really, really is the best medicine for anyone and for everyone.
but as we all know, we're all individuals, and different types of humor works with
Right.
different types of people. And so while Brian and I have our humor that works for us, we have learned that that same humor doesn't work for everybody.
Right.
And I did a little bit of research because I wanted you guys to know that we weren't just making stuff up. And I found that there's adaptive and there's maladaptive humor styles. The adaptive humor styles are affiliative, self-enhancing, liberating, and stress-relieving. The maladaptive types are aggressive, self-defeating, and controlling. So when we're talking about humor, we're talking about staying on the adaptive side of things.
Mhm.
We're not looking at humor that tears anybody down. We're not looking at humor that is self-tearing down. I mean, I hear care partners all the time say with a smile on their face and a grit in their teeth, a joke about themselves. And it's very not funny, because what I usually hear when I hear maladaptive humor that tears somebody else or themselves down is somebody who's very stressed, somebody who's very, very much at the end of their
Over
rope.
the edge.
And I think that's the time when we need, if that person is way beyond needing to ask for help, we need to reach out and give help at that point. But the adaptive humor styles, they've done tons and tons, and I didn't think anybody really wanted to hear a whole lot of research. So I only wanted to make sure that what we were telling you was backed up by science. But the adaptive humor styles were associated with positive outcomes, such as less anxiety and depression, greater optimism, self-esteem, and psychological well-being. Self-enhancing humor provides self-enhancement through cognitive shift in our perspectives, and it helps us to regulate our emotions and to cope with adversities. Affiliative humor emphasizes strengthening associations by others. So as you might guess, affiliative, you're affiliating yourself with someone else through humor. And self-enhancing humor has a special strength, and it's the ability to be amused even from the inappropriateness and absurdity of real life. And you can be amused by yourself. You
Yeah.
know, lots and lots of care partners are all by themselves a lot of time. So we need to find things to laugh at, even if it's ourselves. And I do laugh at myself quite a bit.
Yeah, I wanted to bring up something that I felt was important, and well, I lost it. Okay, thank you. Thanks for listening.
I bet what I'm about to say is going to remind you, because
could
as soon
be.
as I say this, you're going to be talking.
You go ahead.
Yay! So when we're talking about care partnering, and we're talking about bringing other people into the care partner relationship, one of the things that I think doctors, home health, nurses, assisted livings, nursing homes, one of the things that I think they missed the mark on, is assessing the person they're going to be providing support and care for's sense of humor.
Yes.
I think that should be part of the assessment process. And, I would love to see everybody who's involved in long-term care professionally actually have like a chief officer of humor.
Yes.
And be responsible not only for making sure that everybody whose lives they're touching has this assessment done, but that it's incorporated into the care plans.
Well, it also
And-
it also reflects on the employees at the same time.
And I say, and that same care is given to the staff, where they have opportunities for humor, where they have opportunities to blow off steam through humor. If we can't expect them to keep going 24/7 without any reinforcements either. So who would we ask if the person who's going to be providing support, who isn't able to answer those questions about themselves, who would be the next best person to ask, do you think?
Well, it says right here, the care partners may have insight into the changes that an individual living with a cognitive change may not. It's important to ask what works as part of the assessment process, or to explore with the individual. We're also going to speak about some ways in which care partners can be more attuned to one another's humor, as well as their own humor. And right now, I would like to insert a little story that happened to us. And Maureen loves when I talk about how many things that I have going wrong with me. And I failed to state that I also have aphasia, which when it kicks in, I cannot speak. My voice goes away. It's not hoarseness. I cannot speak. So the one thing that I rely on, and this was such a wonderful, wonderful device that's on your phone, you can download it, and it's basically a text to speech, and you can type in what you want, and you can hit a button, and it'll talk to the person you want the message to go to. Now, I could just leave it at that, but no. I might ask her in Spanish to, could you please help me with this? As you can see, she's the only one not laughing. And I'll ask her different things in different accents and everything else. So one day I woke up and I could not speak. I mean, there was just yeah, she was calling her friends and come over, Brian can't talk. So but anyway, I forget what we were doing, but I was outside and there again, I couldn't speak. And I started to go inside. Now, I wasn't wearing any shoes, so I'm not really sure how I did it, but I stubbed my toe on the door jamb, and I let out a
One
very
fell face
I
forward.
fell face forward. Yeah, that was fun. And I yelled out a very, very harsh
Expletive.
that's it. That's the word. And she didn't say, "Are you hurt? Are you okay?" No, it's like, "Oh my God, you can talk." So, and I'm lying on the ground in pain, and all she's saying is, "You can talk." That's great. About 15 minutes later, it wasn't so great anymore. So, but those are the type of things that you have to know your person.
Yeah.
And
So this app up so that it Bluetooths to the TV soundbar. So it's not just coming off his phone. I can be, in my office working. He's in the living room, and I'm hearing with this British accent, "Morning, could you get me a glass of water?" So I'll text him back and say, "Your voice is broken, not your feet. Go get your own water."
right. Yeah, we have fun, and a lot of people do not associate fun or comedy with Alzheimer's. And I have been places to where I talk about what we have, the humor and so forth. And that's when I start reading the faces. And they have this look of horror on their face, like, "Oh my God." She laughs at him. And I can see this. And so I quickly jump in and I say, when she laughs at me, she's not laughing really at me. She's
Right.
laughing with me, because most of the time I'm the one that starts the laughter. So I'm not saying that, like I said, I'm not saying that Alzheimer's or any type of dementia is funny. But when you can bring your humor into the equation, it makes it just a little bit more livable.
I think caregivers just are so sad sometimes with just the whole situation that they forget all about laughter. They forget about the jokes, and they need people like you around and other ones to just encourage them.
Right. And if you just send a self-addressed envelope with 1995, no, I'm just kidding.
So one of the things that we have seen and recommended is that even fake laughing helps your brain to release the endorphins and everything that makes the laughter makes you feel better. So they do have laughter yoga, and I think that laughter yoga is best done in front of a mirror, because if you can't laugh at yourself trying to laugh at yourself, then you won't laugh at anything. But also, there's so many opportunities. I'll give you an example. If I sat down and was in a bad mood, and somebody was trying to make me laugh to help get me out of that mood, and they showed me the Three Stooges, I wouldn't laugh. I find them ridiculously stupid.
Yeah, me too.
Just mentioning the Three Stooges makes Brian laugh.
Yeah.
This guy, huh?
We watched a movie the other night, an old movie called The Hangover. I mean, everyone was telling me how hilariously funny this movie was. As you're getting to pick up on, I'm sure I didn't think it was funny. But I think we have lots of opportunities, whether we go online and watch something or whether we watch something on TV, to schedule humor into our days.
Yes.
We don't have to sit for hours and hours. I'm talking 15 minutes here and there, or more if you have time. We also find that one of the things that makes people the most uncomfortable and comfortable at this almost simultaneously is when we use humor to talk about what we're experiencing in care partnering with dementia. And I watch as Brian and I are interacting with each other, some people around us will look to me to see like, is this okay if I laugh? And when they really start laughing with Brian and they feel more comfortable being with Brian.
Yes.
The fear of, I can only guess that when you're being so careful not to hurt somebody's feeling, not to say something wrong, it almost becomes like a deer in the headlights. But if you can laugh with Brian,
Yeah. Because laughter is the universal language. You don't have, if
Yes.
you can't use the words, you don't know what to say, but you can just laugh together, you're good to go.
Yeah.
well, we find that once people have come to our home and laughed with us, that they are more apt to continue to visit
Yes.
once they overcome that a conscious self-consciousness fear. I don't want to say that I know what everybody is experiencing, but I think it's a genuine caring that they don't do or say anything wrong.
And just in case you don't know, Alzheimer's or other dementias are not contagious. You cannot get them from me or any other person that is living with a dementia-related illness.
I think I have.
Anyway, she's always trying to buck the system. But my favorite time to laugh is when we get a visitor to our home, and she's only about this tall. I'm kidding. She's 4 now, and she has cochlear implants. Okay, I
And she's
always say
deaf.
that wrong. She's deaf, but with her cochlears, she can
Who
hear.
is she?
She is our granddaughter, and she just celebrated this many. She's this many. So when she comes in, we start, playing around and so forth, and then we'll stare at each other, and then either one or the other will just go. And we'll slap our legs and all this, and then I'll go, stop, and we both go. And you see, we got Linda laughing. And that's what we'll do that. And it's so funny, not ha funny, but a little bit. You have me with all the diseases that I have, and you have Emma, who without her cochlear implants, she can't hear anything. So now we have Emma, remember she's 4, teaching us sign language.
Wow.
And it is so, and she gets so much I guess gratitude that she's sitting here thinking, I'm the one that can't hear. She goes, but these two can't even understand my sign language.
Oh, think about it. She talks.
Yeah.
Okay. It doesn't always sound exactly like someone who is a hearing person, but you can understand her.
Right.
And so she has learned language. She has learned sign language. And she also is an amazing reader of faces.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something I'd also like to mention. And I know not everybody on here is supporting someone with a dementia-related illness, but people living with dementia read faces. And it can really help or hinder your ability to connect with that person, what your face does when you're talking to them. So think about if you're talking to someone and you can't hear them, like Emma, and all you can do is see their face. Would you rather talk with someone who's smiling and laughing, or with someone who's looking like this at you? Same thing. You can, maybe a person, even at the end stages of dementia, may not understand all of the humor, but I believe that the face, the feel good, the overall demeanor of the person comes through if they're laughing.
Yeah.
One time I met a man with dementia, and he couldn't speak anymore, but every time he saw you, he gave you a smile and a wink, a smile and a wink. And right away, it made everybody feel engaged with him. you
Right.
know, and I don't know if he planned that and that's how he learned it, but it worked so well.
Till you found out he had something in his eye.
Oh, here we go. Here we go.
Aren't you glad you got us to talk, huh?
Yes. I get to laugh this afternoon.
You know, every morning, actually, let me preface this by saying a very dear friend of mine who his husband lived with dementia used to say that every morning they'd wake up and he would decide what dance they were going to do that day, whether it was the cha-cha or the waltz or whatever. And then she would just dance until he changed the dance. And so I kind of look at it as every morning I wake up and I find out what shtick I'm going to be playing today, you know, what comedian I'm going to be imitating. And some days it's not a comedian. Sometimes there's just days where we're just loving each other, where we're just supporting each other. Some days there's arguments. They say never argue with the guy with Alzheimer's. I'm like, well, I'd argue with him if he didn't have Alzheimer's, so I'm going to argue with him now until it stops changing, you know, having a positive impact most of the time. I'm going to keep on doing it.
But you know what? You kind of, sometimes I bet you somebody with Alzheimer's wants you to argue with them. Like, don't stop talking to me. Don't stop, you know,
Right.
like I'm still living here. You know, let's have a little argument once in a while.
Well, my father who did marriage counseling as a pastor, used to say people who love passionately argue passionately. And so I guess Brian and I really love each other. And also, well, okay, later on. So we're going to preface this next section with, we all have to have the hard conversations sometimes.
Yeah. Most persons living with dementia, they react and respond to facial cues. Having humor as a regular part of our interactions, it assists us in making positive connections because you can't laugh without smiling. So when we needed to discuss the possibility that someday I may need more care than what Maureen can provide, I used this scenario.
I used it.
Yeah. Well, I said we because now we use it.
So we're driving down the road one day. Brian's talking over in the passenger seat. And I look over to my left. We're at a stoplight. I look over to my left. I see one of those great big life storage buildings. And I said, hey, Brian, look over there. Do you see that building? He said, the one that says life storage? I said, yes. I said, when you need long-term care, that's where you're going. And he looked at me, he goes, isn't that where people store their boxes? And I said, yes, it is. Think about this. You go to an assisted living, especially memory care, it could be $5,000, $6,000 a month. $899 a month. And Brian loves to talk. He loves to educate people and to advocate. I said, every morning you can roll up your door and you can just advocate and educate everybody who walks by.
She says, you can call yourself the mayor of life storage.
And so I said, look, I can get you an Uber Eats account so that you can call and go out to eat, or you can have it delivered. I'll get you a chemical toilet. And I said, you can rearrange the boxes, I mean, the furniture, any way you want to.
The scary part is that she had the prices, she had the chemical toilets, she knew what, I think she thought about this just a little bit too much. And so now every time we pass it, I say, well, hey, look, my house needs a little paint job there. So I might, go over there and kind of touch it up.
But the point of this story, other than being very funny, is that it allowed me to have the conversation with Brian a little bit at a time over a period of time about, I know that you want to stay here, us together, living at home. And that's my goal for as long as I can keep you safe and I can keep you healthy. But there may come a time, I'm never going to lie to you, there may come a time where I need to have help. Either somebody coming in and help or some place for you to go live. And it just gave us that opportunity to have a real conversation about his fears about going, about why I didn't want him to, or why we might have to. Again, it's an ongoing conversation. Every time we pass, well, no, that's an exaggeration. Many times when we pass a life storage unit, it's time to end it. It catches our attention. It's time to have a little bit more of that conversation.
And
And
Brian,
I'm-
wait, Brian, can you share, because like you said, someday there may be a time where
Right.
you won't be able to live with Maureen anymore. What preparations you've made for your caregivers?
Ah,
I think that's so important for people to hear.
yeah. Like Maureen said, we've talked a little bit about or talked a lot about what the future is going to look like. And then, my both of my parents, my dad with vascular dementia and my mom with Alzheimer's, went into a home. And while there, the whole thing was, it was just so mundane. There was no laughter. There was no happiness. People just sat in the hallways outside of their room. And, it broke my heart every time I would go visit my mother to see her in that situation. So I told myself that I'm going to make people laugh and not count on them to make me laugh or try to make me laugh, or I just wanted to understand the humor. So I started using the humor to break down that stigma that we can't understand, or we can't continue living life, that we can't be happy, that we can't tell a joke. So I came up with some jokes, and it's like, roses are red, violets are blue. I have Alzheimer's. Cheese on toast. That was my favorite one.
No.
And if you're not laughing, that's okay. I can't see you.
What?
That's all right.
What did you make for your future care partners?
Oh, and what I did, yeah, I know I was off key there.
Okay.
Sorry, Linda. What I did was, and this goes back to when I enter, or if I enter a care community, I want them to know who I am. Most of the time when people go into a care community, they start to get to know them once they're there. But I didn't want that, and I don't want that. So I made a video, and it was introducing myself and Maureen to them. And I said things along the lines of, now, I love chocolate and I love peanut butter. Those are my two favorite things in the world. Well, besides Maureen, of course. And yeah, I'm sorry, baby. You can't count that high with your fingers. Okay. So I started talking to, kind of like what I'm doing right now, is talking to a screen, but telling them, I'm saying, look, Maureen has 24/7 access to me. And the reason why I say that is because if I'm out of chocolate, I'm going to call her and she's going to come over here and bring it to me. Now, it doesn't matter if it's 2:00 in the morning or whatever. I said, your best bet is to let her in, because if you make her mad, You know, like the Hulk, it's like, you don't make him mad. You don't want to see him mad. Well, that goes for this beauty here. You know, she can get raw and mean, and but not towards me, of course. But I told them, I said, these are the types of foods I like. And I said, now, if I'm in a very angry mood, or if you're looking for something to calm me down, play my music. And I tell them, now, not just any music. Don't come in here and put, some strange stuff that I've never heard before in my life. I'm going to have a playlist, and I'm going to have a speaker. So it's going to fill my room with my type of music, because that's what calms me down.
Yes.
It takes away my anxiousness. It takes away my anger. And, if Maureen's coming over to visit me, I can put on some of our favorite music that we love, that we have grown to love. And that's just something that I think everyone should do before going in.
Yes.
Go there and introduce yourself, or make a video.
Yeah.
Make a video.
Let your person
And you
make
want
a
to tell
video.
them,
Yeah.
you want to tell them, I love dogs, or I love cats, or I like to
Right.
go outside every day. That's so important. And sometimes they're trying to shower someone in the morning, but they only shower at night. And if they just know that, it's so much easier for everybody. Or if they
Right.
know they don't like to eat breakfast right away, they want coffee, they want breakfast like an hour later. That's not a big deal. If you know it, it just makes everything so much smoother for everybody.
Exactly.
When we're speaking on another subject matter, I ask everybody in the audience to write down their top 5 favorite things about home. What makes home so great for them? And so I ask them to just write them down on a list. And then after a few minutes, I say, I want you to take your pen or pencil, and I want you to draw a line through number 1, number 3, and number 5. I just magically, through the power of being the owner of an assisted living, took away the 3 of your 5 favorite things about home. Maybe that, as Linda said, you like to get up and sit and read the paper before you eat breakfast and have a cup of coffee. It may be that you like to listen to certain music. It might be that you like to have a dog or a cat. But if someone just came and took 3 out of 5 of your favorite things about your home away from you, how would you feel?
Yeah.
If they just told you you're no longer in charge of your own schedule, how would you feel?
I feel like I'm in jail. I work my whole life, and now I'm an older person. I'm just going to get bossed around.
Right. Or I went to turn on my music, and it's music that I've never heard of before. Somebody changed my music.
Or if you're in a wheelchair and somebody comes and parks you in front of a TV program that you don't like,
Right.
and you have no ability to wheel yourself away from it. And the same thing goes, pretty much, I think, within limits. I mean, if you put me in a room with a whole bunch of rap music, or, what do they call electric music, or whatever it is, that would make me angry. But, pretty much, I think music can have an uplifting effect. But I hate to see everybody herded like cows into a room, assuming they're all going to enjoy, the clown playing an organ.
Right.
I think that's just wrong. In a minute, we're going to talk about another video that Brian made. Another thing that I try to address with Brian through humor is my burnout, my stress. Maybe not every caregiver feels those things, but I do. There's times where I just need a break. And sometimes that break may be 15 minutes, sometimes maybe a few hours. I imagine as time goes on, it may end up being a few days. And so to introduce the idea of me needing a break, not meaning that I don't love him, not meaning that I don't want to support him anymore and be with him, I invented the refrigerator box. And every time that we are with close family and friends, I will say this: if you should receive a delivery. And it's a box about the size of a refrigerator, and it has air holes poked all around the top. It's Brian. Open it right away. I'll come and get him in a little while, but I just needed a break. Brian has added that if he's good, I'm going to give him the luxury refrigerator box, and it'll have the little pee-pee pads for the puppies, and the little gerbil water thing where you can get out, and maybe some food that's.
I'm gonna have a cardboard condo, and I'll be able to travel. So woohoo!
And what has happened that was one of those unintended but wonderful consequences of this is that, again, friends and family are now used to us saying that. And so many of them say things like, Brian, we've been waiting for you to show up in your refrigerator box. Where have you been? And I'll say, well, you guys could be really nice and come and pick them up. Then that'll save me the cost of shipping.
But then you also have friends that have offered to just come and spend time with Brian so that you get a break.
And I still work.
Yeah.
And it's getting closer to the time where I'm not going to be able to leave Brian alone. But I don't want to just have people come in and sit and stare at him.
Right.
I want people to be here who he can
Okay.
interact with and enjoy interacting with. I am a huge believer that people with dementia don't stop talking because of the disease. They stop talking because we stop talking with them.
Yep.
And so I want people who will engage with him. Linda, I think I stole this idea. Borrowed this idea from you.
Never say stole, Jill. I borrowed.
I took 10 Ziploc bags and I took 10 photographs of different times during Brian's life, things happening. And I wrote on the back of them what it is that's going on in the photograph. And I put them in the Ziploc bag and I put them in a shoebox. And there's also some other memorabilia of his life in there. And I figure if people are here and they're with Brian, and Brian for some reason isn't talking, which by the way will be on the nightly news, they can reach into that shoebox, they can pick out any one of the things in there, and they'll have something to talk with him about. And even if he doesn't remember now, they're going to have enough information on the back of the thing that they'll be able to give him little factoids that will probably jar his memory.
Now, I would like to bring up something that is kind of serious. Don't try to turn that page. So everybody I'm not going to say everybody, but some people have spirit animals that, they want to be this animal because they love the way it looks, or, this, that, and the other. Well, we discovered that we have spirit animals. Maureen's shaking her head. I can see it.
You discovered that we have.
Well, I discovered. I discovered this. So Maureen's spirit animal is the cheetah. Now, the reason I say that is because I can get up out of bed and walk into the living room, but in that span of 15 seconds,
My God, you haven't walked that fast, and it takes you 15 minutes to walk from the bedroom to the living room.
Okay, so after the 17 seconds, I make my way up into the living room, and then I look around. And you ever see those movies where one person is moving in slow motion and the other person is going zoom, 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 zoom? Well, the zoom person, it ain't me. I'm the one that is I'm just struggling to get to my chair, and my chair is my domain. And but if we say, hey, let's go on a short trip this weekend and so forth, and she goes, okay, and then I won't see her for a few minutes. And then all of a sudden, she's rolling around suitcases. She has, okay, here's your list. This is what you need to pack. And and it's like, I'm going, we're not leaving for a week. It's better to have everything all put together and wait for the last minute. And so there goes the sloth, who crawls very slowly, and the cheetah going around and around and around. Yeah, I try to make it fun, but she doesn't see the humor. I don't understand.
Yeah, well, if the cheetah doesn't make the sloth start packing a week in advance, we get to Arizona with no underwear.
Yeah. I'm not going to let that happen again.
So another topic that we think people have some challenges in discussing openly are hallucinations. People living with dementia, many of them experience hallucinations. Brian experiences hallucinations. And one of our challenges, one of our methodologies is to help empower him, make him feel empowered. Because guys, although there's not an actual human being or whatever it is standing there, when the brain of a person tells them that there's somebody standing there, that person is as real as if they were there actually. So just telling them that there's nothing there, or that their brain's making it up, that makes them feel like they can't talk about it. It makes them feel afraid more. We empowered Brian. We empowered Brian little by little to be able to tell his hallucinations to go away.
Yeah. And what had started happening is I would wake up, and it was always like maybe 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. And I would wake up because I would feel a presence that was in the room. And so I would sit up, and there standing at the edge of my bed was somebody. I don't know who they were or what they were doing there, but they were just staring at me the whole time. And so I'm freaking out. So I start yelling at him or her, whatever it was. It's like, what are you looking at? Well, you don't belong here. Get out of here. And so I picked up my slipper and I threw it in that direction. Well, he was still there. And then unbeknownst to me, Maureen was awake. And all of a sudden, I see another slipper fly through the air. And I said, what are you doing? She goes, well, I figured you threw a slipper. I better throw a slipper too, so we can get rid of this guy and we can go back to sleep.
My favorite hallucination, though.
Yeah.
About my favorite.
This is, and this was funny. Not at first, but funny. I woke up one night and I have this chair that sits, not far from the bed. And when I woke up, I had to look twice, and I had to put my glasses on to see exactly who I thought it was. And y'all know the paper towel guy. His name is what now?
Brawny.
Brawny, sitting there in his black and red flannel shirt with his boots and his jeans and everything else. I wanted answers. And I said, what in the hell are you doing sitting in my chair?
Brawny.
That's
what I woke up to.
And I said, that's the chair that I use. That is not your chair. Get out of my chair, and blah, blah, blah. I just go on and on. And then it just got really bad because I jumped out of the bed and I was helping him to get out of the room because that's how bad I wanted him out. So, but the more now that I tell it, it becomes kind of humorous because that's the night that I kicked Brawny out of the bedroom. So, my hallucinations are, some, like I said, some of them are scary, but there is humor into some of the hallucinations that I have when I'm able to recognize who they are.
The funniest part of it was the next day we were walking down the hall And we have a closet with all of our paper goods in it. And I opened it up knowing that there was 2 rows of brawny paper towels in there. And he looked at me and he starts grabbing the paper towels and he says, no. I think that we need to not be embarrassed
Yeah.
about whatever our diseases or disabilities or age does. We need to talk about it, because I doubt seriously there's anyone on this earth that is the only person that has ever experienced a symptom of some kind. And when you're able to talk about it, I don't expect anybody's going to be able to laugh right away, but when you're able to talk about it and you're able to become comfortable, talking about what you're dealing with, then you don't feel so alone, whether you're the care partner or whether you're your caregiver or whether you're the person living with. You don't want anyone to feel ashamed for something they have no control over.
Can I ask you to address one thing?
Of course.
Sure.
When people talk to you and not Brian, when they direct questions, or when, I remember Brian saying to me one time that you and him were standing around, some people came over and you started talking, everything was fine. And then Brian goes, they lean into Maureen's ear and they go, how's he doing? And Brian said, I'm not deaf, I have Alzheimer's. But can we talk about that a little bit, about how people talk to you, Brian, or treat you sometimes?
Just this morning, we had a very positive experience this morning, Linda. So I want to talk about that before we talk about the negative. Brian went to a new neurologist this morning.
Yeah.
And he hates neurologists ever since Howdy Doody gave him the runaround.
That's a story for another time.
Anyhow, the doctor sat down and first he introduced some, they sat down and he started asking questions. And he could see that Brian was struggling to answer the questions. He turns to Brian and he says, would it be all right if I directed these questions to Maureen and if she answered them?
I love
and
that.
I thought that was amazing. And then just to let you know, as the questions were being asked, I hesitated and always waited to hear if Brian could answer them first.
Right.
And then if he was struggling to answer it, I would answer it. And the doctor kept his eyes on Brian the whole time.
He did.
Fabulous.
And I had never ever had a neurologist give me that type of attention in a clinical atmosphere.
And it gave you dignity and respect.
Yes. Yes.
When he was asking Brian some of the more embarrassing questions, he said, this isn't the first time I've heard these answers. You don't have to worry about it. And I thought that was great.
It was.
But people will walk up to me, medical people, non-medical people, with Brian standing right next to me and ask me about him. And sometimes I forget. Sometimes I'll just say, oh, he's doing fine. But I try to always remember to say, Brian's right here. You can talk to Brian and ask him. If he needs my help, he'll give me the look. Give him the look, Brian.
They'll ask a question and I'll try to think and I'll go.
I mean, minus that I'm looking at a camera right now, even if I weren't, I can feel him look at me when he needs my help. So the last thing we wanted to mention, Linda.
You're good.
How much?
You're good.
3 minutes?
You can have 8 minutes.
Okay. Is another topic that can be difficult to deal with and talk about, but also can include some humor, is talking about your death. Talking about what you want to have happening when you're in the dying process, what you want done afterwards. And again, Brian, Mr. Social Media himself, did a video and it outlines exactly what he wants. For example, may I?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay. He doesn't want people who've never come to see him since he received his diagnosis to now show up. and be standing looking down at him.
Yeah, so
Yeah.
I'm gonna have a bouncer at the door and they're gonna have to provide, there'll be a checklist. And if
Yep.
you're not on the list, go home.
Of course, he wants music. Of course, he wants people around him that love him.
I want music. I want food. I want it to be a party. You know, everybody talks about the celebration of life, and it's very solemn. I don't want solemn. I want to go out laughing. I want to go out knowing that the real people that love me, that care for me, that have been friends with me through thick and thin, those are the people that I want gathered around and just having fun.
Yeah.
I don't want them. Yes, they're gonna be upset a little bit, just a little bit. Okay.
Whatever.
You have a timetable of 4 seconds to go, oh, I miss him. All right, let's party, everybody. Come on. So
Well, actually, Brian wants his celebration of life now.
yeah,
We're planning it while he still cognitively can participate.
Yeah.
I want it to be the way that I want it. Not taking anything away from Maureen, but I know she's going to have suggestions for me and so forth, and that's fine. I just don't want, like she said, I don't want people going to stand over me. Well, they can't stand over me because I'm going to be cremated. So, but I don't want anybody standing over me saying, "Oh, I'm going to miss him," blah blah blah, and then no, I want people cracking up because I will, if I wasn't going to be cremated, I was thinking about wearing like a funny costume or something. That would be funny,
Well, I was going to say 2 years before my husband passed away, we had a celebration.
There you
We
go.
called it a celebration, and I had made a video of his whole life from when he was a child till now with our favorite songs. And he said, I don't want to wait till I'm dead. Everybody's looking at that damn video. I want to enjoy with them and say, hey, look, that's the house I built. That's the time we went there, and have those conversations. And we need to do that more. I have to tell you, though, somebody just sent in a message a little while ago, and she said, I've been a caregiver on and off since 2011. This is the first time that I can see a better day, even with the disheartening diagnosis on my caregiving journey. Thank you guys so much.
Well, we want to be
I
friends
wanna
with
cry.
that lady.
Yeah. We do too. We hope, that's our wish.
So
Yeah.
to Facebook on We Are Dementia Strong. You'll see our video Facebooks there, and we're starting a podcast also. But come on over to We Are Dementia Strong and join our family there.
Yes.
And thank
And
you
We
so
Are
much,
Dementia
Linda.
Strong is on every Saturday at 10 o'clock is their video. So you watch them at 10, and then after that you listen to my radio show. So
That's
the
actually
Saturday
what I
morning
do.
deal.
Yeah.
I do ours, and then I go over and I watch yours. So
And if you have any questions for us,
Yeah.
you can go. We have a Facebook page. We do have a Facebook.
you can leave us a
There, you
message,
can leave a
private
message.
message there.
Or you can send us
Email.
a
Yeah.
chat
A message in
thing.
here, and they have your
Right.
website and they have all your stuff. So we
Right.
know where to find you guys.
Yeah. Yeah,
Well, thank
don't point your finger at me. All right.
I'm on the
I
other
can
side of
poke
the
you
room,
back.
so you can't grab it. All right, you guys, thanks so much for being here today.
Thank you
know how
so much.
I love you.
Love you.
We'll continue our conversations. Have a delicious day.
You too.
Love you.
Oh my goodness. How fabulous are those people? They're just absolutely fabulous. Do we have Pastor Kurt? Okay, should be any minute. So yeah, I think Brian and Maureen show an entire different way of how things can be handled. Just because you get a terminal disease or a diagnosis of Alzheimer's or dementia doesn't mean you're not a person anymore. It doesn't mean you can't have a sense of humor. And I think, exactly what they said, that people stop talking because no one's talking to them. So there's many ways you can have that conversation, even if it's just over the music, even if it's just over the music.